Guten Tag! Welcome to the first of the brand new, shiny, sparkly series of Dreambubble podcasts. We're joined by a group of exceptional dreamers today for an artists' roundtable. Joining me today, we have three phenomenal dreamers. We have the most marvelous Yledbetter.
Hello, hello.
We have the wondrous Wargarble.
Howdy.
And we have the incomparable Nevi-Artist.
Hola, hola. Hello, everybody.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. It's wonderful to have you all here. So we're going to start off nice and easy. We will start off with a very simple question. You can either choose to tell me where does your PlayStation Network name come from, or you can tell me two truths and a lie. Wargarble, let's start with you.
Oh God. Who do I tell? I guess I could talk about Wargarble, I guess.
Okay.
Well, it's not really that interesting though. So I came up with the name back when the PS3 first came out, and I think it just made me laugh because I was young, and then I don't even know where I heard it from. I have no idea where it came from. It just made me laugh, so I just made it that, and then we couldn't change it the longest time. And then by the time I was going to change it, people started recognizing my dreams work as Wargarble, so I just kept it. So there was no confusion.
Excellent. And it's an original name as well. You didn't have to have, kind of, no disrespect to anyone else who may or may not be here, but you didn't have to have numbers or anything on the end. You didn't have to have underscores and crazy symbols. So that makes sense. I like it.
Thank you.
Nivi-Artist, same question to you. Where does your PlayStation name come from, or two truths and a lie?
Nevi, my family and friends have always called me Nevi since I was a kid. It's my name is kind of mixed. Half my dad's name and half my mother's name, because in my country is very common for parents to do that with their kids, where they combine the two names. And ever since I was a kid, my parents and friends and family, everyone called me Nevi, but I just decided, before I always had just a made up name, and I just decided, you know what, I'm just gonna use Nevi for when I get on dreams, for people to recognize me and stuff. That's what I decided to do. Yeah, and then I put the artist behind it, because on the PlayStation, when you make the name, they want the first and last name, whatever.
That's awesome. And finally yourself, Mr. Yledbetter. Where on earth does that PlayStation name come from? Or you can choose to go for two truths and a lie.
Yeah, I was trying to think of two truths and a lie, but you guys already know so much about me. I honestly couldn't think of anything.
No worries.
So Yledbetter is from the song Yledbetter from Pearl Jam. I'm a big Pearl Jam fan. I've seen them 10 times live, so it kind of came from that.
Did you say 10 times live?
Yes.
Wow. That's crazy. Also awesome. Excellent. Yeah. So, now that we all know each other, let's move on to our first key question. And this is more of a conversation starter, so feel free to kind of talk among yourselves and kind of have a conversation about it. But what was your light bulb moment that you saw or experienced in dreams? And what I mean by that was, I remember seeing one of the early tech demos where they had a bunch of characters and they did a live music performance. It may be like one of the GDCs or something like that, but they did a live performance. And I remember thinking, oh wow, I really, really need to keep an eye on this, because that looks amazing. And that was, for me, that was one of my light bulb moments. So, Nevi-Artist, what was yours?
I mean, it's weird, because I didn't know about dreams before. Like I only found out about dreams like right before the beta. Like, I think I came up on my YouTube because I was using Sculptor VR, and I think that's the only reason I caught it. But I remember seeing the first video, and they showed like the puppet from the story, like the person talking, and they were making the mouth move. I think that was the first thing I saw. And when I saw that, I got super excited. And I remember the first thing I did was I started to get into everything Dreams. I got into the newsletter. I got into Discord. I followed Media Molecule on everywhere I could. I opened up a Twitter account. You know, uh, I just saw it and I was like, wow, this is way better than than Sculptor VR. This is like something bigger. So yeah, that's when I started to get attention when I saw that.
That's awesome.
For me, it was like when they first announced it, because I was a huge fan of Little Big Planet, but my creations of Little Big Planet were terrible. I thought about sharing them, but I don't know. They're not even bad in an entertaining way. They're just pretty bad. But I kind of got what Media Molecule was like trying to advertise for it, and then I guess that light bulb moment for me is those like little clips they had of like there was like that chase on the hover bikes, and I'm trying to think. I saw some like YouTube videos somebody put together of like a collection of these clips. Um, I don't know if they all came out around the same time or what, but it was like a little cityscape with these rolling hills, and it was like kind of animated. It was a looping animation, like a little car was driving. I think that was an all like an older engine, but as soon as I realized like, oh, you can make anything you want, you have like this virtual studio to have at home. That's set it off for me completely. Before that, I would do Photoshop paintings, do my own photography and things like that, but I've always wanted to work with 3D stuff, so seeing that become available was just great.
Yourself, Nivi, and Wargarble, you both have kind of a history with art. You both been kind of done art previously. Yledbetter, would you say that was the same for yourself? Is your an art background, and what was your light bulb moment?
I definitely probably have the least experience in art before Dreams. So I did play Little Big Planet, made some pretty terrible levels as well. And then I kind of just picked up Dreams. I didn't follow it beforehand. I got it during early access. Just kind of messed around with it.
That's insane to me. That's insane to me that you didn't have any previous painting, because your paintings are unbelievable.
I'm so
For
glad
somebody who
someone
didn't have
else
much
said
experience.
that.
Yeah, I think the same. I don't understand how you say you never really messed with that before. It's like my sister's the same. My sister, she has never painted or drawn anything. And one day she just went to the store, bought a canvas, and started painting. And she shows me her paintings, and they're incredible. It's like some people just, they
Hidden
they got a
talents.
hidden talent. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's one thing that Dreams has brought out of a lot of people. I mean, I did some painting in high school, but that was over 10 years ago. And I actually dug them out of my parents' attic when I was up north last time, and thinking they were going to be decent, but really they weren't all that good. So
Really, Dreams is your first foray into art, then, you would say?
yeah, and when I first started playing, I mean, I just kind of threw some stuff together, just tried sculpting different things, and then just, I guess one day it just kind of clicked and kind of making whatever I can think of.
You said one day it kind of just clicked for you. Was that would you say that was your kind of light bulb moment?
Yes, definitely, because I did make a few creations early on in early access, and then actually kind of stopped for a few months until closer to full release, and then I would say hopping into the 30-minute challenges and the weekly challenges in Dreams Have Meanings Sunday streams
Plug, 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 plug,
kind of
plug.
went Yeah, kind of just doing those kinds of things definitely helped.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, those challenges are awesome.
Yeah,
They're really great, like way to like just know the tools and just go instead of second guessing yourself. You only have that amount of time. It's really good exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it makes a huge difference, especially when you have got a time constraint and it's not you're blinded by so much choice. You know what you have to do. You've got a really tight time schedule to do it on, and you just have to get stuck in. And some of the things that people have made, all three of you guys included, is just mind-blowingly impressive in the space of 30 minutes. One of the things that fascinates me, particularly, and actually this is a really good split from my seat, because I want to talk about 2D versus 3D. A lot of the weekly challenges, we'll come up with something to do, and most people will come back with a 3D scene. But Yledbetter and actually Nivi-Artist, both of you, you find it feels like you've kind of hit your stride in terms of the art of it, for want of a better phrase, in 2D. If I look at your guys' profiles, for example, some of the things that you guys have done is just crazy. Wargarble, on the opposite side, a lot of what you've done is the 3D stuff. So I wonder if you can talk around maybe a little bit around 2D versus 3D and kind of how that affected what you then went on to build.
Sure. It's kind of interesting because I've always done 2D stuff, and that's what kind of put me on the map in Dreams, is me doing my drawings that I do. I do obviously way more 3D work. I've always drawing forever, even in school. Instead of taking notes, I'm doodling. So I was always kind of that way, and I just really love drawing. It gets to the point where like I couldn't use like a number 2 pencil because like it was like nails on a chalkboard to me. It was kind of weird, but it's kind of really grainy feeling. So like I had to use a pen, so I forced myself to use ballpoint pen to do everything. And then yeah, going into Dreams, I was curious if I could mimic my style. And so I would slow the imp sensitivity down to like the second lowest notch. And I do everything with DualShock, and then I would draw, and then that worked, put me on the map, and then yeah, I don't know, I just tried to translate that to 3D. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that transition. Just kind of like looked at the 3D stuff like actual clay, and just was trying to like dig into it, and I guess that's the best way I could describe that for me. I really enjoy both, but yeah, I don't know. I've really just to do more 3D work. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you're looking at some of your work, you've got such a style. As soon as I see something, particularly on Twitter sometimes, I'll look at a piece and I'll go, yeah, I know exactly who that is. I don't even need to know who it is. I don't need to look at the name of who it was that did that. I know just by the visual style, that kind of almost... It's almost like someone's taken chalk and sculpted pieces out of chalk.
So I think... so I guess that's like a big thing that I know there's a lot of people who question that, like, how do I get my own personal artistic voice? And that thing just, I mean, it just takes time. And it just takes time and patience and just creating, just do it. Just pick up the tools and go. And I mean, looking at tutorials or stuff like that, that's definitely helpful. Like when I first started drawing, I traced stuff. When I was tracing, I was like focusing on my wrist movements of like, okay, this is how you draw an eye, and this is how you do this. Then eventually, I just got tired of trying to draw proportions. So I just said, screw it, and I was like, I don't want my stuff to be proportional. I just want it to be whatever it's going to be. Like it sounds really pretentious, I guess, but like, when a cloud forms, it doesn't have to think too hard to be about being a cloud. It just is a cloud. So, like, well, what if I approach art in the same way? I just let it come out. Don't plan anything. Me wasn't planned. If you actually go to the first scene of me, I think, and you like pause it, I think it'll come up saying Fish Laser 2 teaser, because that's what I thought I was gonna make, and then it just it didn't turn into that at all. It was something different, which eventually became me. I just got to a point where I stopped thinking too much about what I was doing, stopped worrying about if people were going to like it and if it was too weird or, whatever, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I just let it come out. And I just like, hey, I like this. I'll put it out there and see if it finds an audience. If so, great. If not, I'm just going to keep making stuff because I like making art. So.
And I think that's really important, when we talk about this, that people say, oh, I don't seem to get much kind of attention, and there are some absolutely sensational artists out there who don't seem to have huge amounts of attention, but when you look at their profiles, they've got some incredible artwork. I mean, so yeah, looking at your profile, Nivi, we can see, we can see this incredible head that you've got sculpted there. And it's clear that you've got a really strong presence in both 2D and 3D. I mean, the recent painting you did of Alex from Media Molecule is just amazing testament to that. I mean, considering what Wargarble was saying about just kind of doing what you can with the tools, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
Well, I've always tried to just to do art, like all kinds of art, whether it was drawing, painting, doing sculpting with clay. Like if I would started drawing with pencil, I would move on to try to draw with pen, and then I would go to try to paint, with a paintbrush, and just try to do things that I'm not comfortable with or things I haven't done before, and just keep try different types of paint too. But as far as the painting goes, it's something that I find it really fun to paint. Well, right now I've just been doing portraits and stuff, but I want to move on to doing different kinds of things like landscapes, like Yledbetter, or do just different animals, all kinds of different things. As far as the 3D goes, I've done some sculpts, but I haven't been able to really take full advantage of sculpting in 3D. Just because there is no image import like Sculptor VR has in Dreams yet. So it's something that helps me out a lot because like whenever I'm sculpting something, I tend to kind of get shapes wrong and the angles and stuff like that. So I'm still learning as I go. And
yeah,
like, I agree with Wargarble. What he said, I'm basically the same as him. Like I just like to do things and whatever comes out, I don't think whether it's gonna be liked or people gonna accept it. Sometimes I just do throw it out there, whatever makes me, whatever I'm feeling at the moment.
And sometimes that's songs as well. I mean, looking through your profile, I've got some incredible music on there as well, which we're all fans of. There's some real earworms in there, man. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, that's part of that. that's part of just having a good time and enjoying Dreams. And like if my kids say, "Hey, why don't we do can I sing a song?" and I'll just say, "Yeah, okay," and we'll just make it. And then we talk about, "Oh, you want to make a music video for it?" "Yeah, okay, let's just make it." And yeah, it's silly. It's maybe someone else will see it. You've made some some quality stuff, but then you see something like a goofy music video, you probably think, "Oh, what the hell is he doing?" But to me, it's just I'm just having a good time and I'm just having fun with my kids and whatever. I don't. It's just I'm not thinking
that's what it's
about
about.
all of that. Yeah,
that's it.
That's just how it is.
And I've got to say, you've got a heck of a talented family, Nivi. I've heard the rap.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard the rap. Some really quality stuff.
And a lot of that weird stuff that you hear is all my kids that have come up with it.
That sounds remarkably like an excuse, Nivi.
Yeah, nah.
Speaking.
No, yeah, I'll admit to you, I'm not good at animating. I'm not good with logic. I'm not good with a lot of things, but at the same time, I just don't, I don't think about it too much. I try whatever I can.
Yeah,
have a good time. And it's you'll be surprised that there's a lot of people out there that they say that, you know, they send me messages. Hey, I love your music video. Make another one, you know. And I'm like, for real? You really like that? You know, I'm just messing around, you know. But it's fun, man. It's all about having fun and just not caring.
I think that's it. I think that's exactly it. It is. You know, as soon as you stop having fun, it's time to stop. You know, and it's lovely that you're able to incorporate what you do creatively and kind of get your kids involved as well. Which leads me beautifully onto Mr. Yledbetter 10, because I know that you, sir, are now a family gentleman. And
Yes.
so, you know, have you found that that's had an impact on kind of the way in which you approach art, or is it kind of making you think about things differently? Are you looking forward to, you know, for example, getting your kids involved in, or your kid involved in art, you know, as they grow up?
Yeah, definitely. It's something I plan down the road. She is just now 8 months old, so I haven't really been able to make anything that she would realize is something I made or play. But yeah, it's definitely something I've been thinking about, either doing like a children's book or,
Oh, really?
you know, some kind of a learning experience for her.
Oh, that's an amazing idea. I love that. I mean, and
You'd be
again,
surprised with the kids. The things they come up with, man.
Oh yeah, I can't wait till she's old enough to start, you know, using finger paint and all that kind of stuff.
I love the idea of doing a children's book in Dreams. I think that's an incredible idea. That's a really neat idea. And again, you know, I spoke to Wargarble about that kind of almost signature style, and you know, Nivi very clearly has that with a lot of his work as well. And I think the same can be said of you. You've got this kind of very identifiable style that you seem to have kind of developed. Talk to me a little bit about that.
I mean, it's kind of something that I'm always learning. Like I said, I didn't really have any experience with this kind of stuff before, so sometimes I just get an idea in my head and just have to try it. And I think, you know, like the weekly challenges, sorry for the plug again, but for Dreams Have Meanings, I'll see one of those prompts for the weekly challenge, and I just get an idea in my head, and I just have to try it out.
And I really love that. I think that's brilliant. And looking at some of your creations, like genuinely, I'll go back to what Wargarble and Nevi-Artist said before. It stuns me that you have very limited background in art, and yet what you create visually is just stunning. Really, really is. You know, all three of you create some of the most amazing things, and I'm so excited to see kind of what you guys do next.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So speaking of what you're doing next, which is another really flawless move from one thing to the next. So again, Nivi, let's start with you. What are you working on just now?
Well, I've been watching a lot of 4K 4K HD video of people just walking around different parts of the world, you know, like Italy, Switzerland and stuff. And I really want to do like a scene, you know, like landscape and like mountains and houses and people walking, and I want that's my next step as far as painting goes. I want to, like I already did the portrait, you know, the portraits. I want to move on to doing now, you know, just as, you know, I want to do mountains and sky, just like White Lead, you know. When I want to move to that level, to that next step. So I've been watching a lot of videos, and now, you know, Ylet and I, we've kind of got this nice little technique now where we could push the realism. You just gotta have the patience. You got with the thermal, we can push the thermal now a little bit more, so we could get more realistic looking scenes. And I wanna get into that
So
next.
just on that note, then let's talk about the thermometer limitations. Now, I know from talking to you both you, Nivi, and yourself, Yledbetter. I know that you guys have found tricks and workarounds. I wonder if you kind of just give me an example of one of them that you've come across.
For me, I started messing around with it. I think it was with the RoboCop portrait. It might have been the RoboCop or the Brad Pitt. But I started thinking, why don't I start cutting pieces instead of doing it as a full picture? And I kind of did it as a sculpt, and then I would grab pieces and I started cutting the pieces and painting them different whatever with different paint. And what I started to notice was that what would have taken me to 100% thermal before, now I was checking the thermal and it was at like 10%,
Oh, wow.
17%, and I was nowhere like close to, you know. I still could have done way more, and I was and it was like, you know, like you said before, like a light bulb moment where I was just like, wow, hold on, I'm onto something, right? And then I remember I started talking to Yled, and Yled showed me a screenshot where he was doing the same thing, where he was cutting pieces, and he was showing me the thermal, and I was like, wow, like this is what's gonna help me with this thermal, you know. And I started seeing like Yled's like realistic paintings that he was doing, and then I was like, oh, this is it here. So, you know, it got me really excited because before that I was getting really frustrated because I wanted to get more details into the paintings and stuff, and I couldn't because I was doing it a different way. But once I figured that out, and then I started talking to Yled about it, the ball just started rolling, man.
That's
You know?
amazing. And
Yeah.
Wargarble, is that a trick you're aware of? Have you come across that at all?
I'm aware of the trick, but I am when it comes to the thermo for me, I've not. I guess just the way my 3D work goes and stuff, I've not ran into issues with it. I guess. Um, I don't know. I don't have much to say on that topic. Unfortunately, because I've just not had issues that I've had to really, search for workarounds for.
Yeah.
Um,
What issues have you come up against?
I guess for, all my stills. I mean, there's obviously nothing to the sides or behind the camera, and also I'm only making what the camera sees. So like any of my work, they don't have backsides to them, because there was no point in me detailing that if the viewer's not going to see it. I guess that's one way I just keep everything that the camera sees detail. So that's really it.
And to be fair, that's one of the things that I know myself I'm really bad for. I'll open up dreams with a vision of what I want to create, and I'll create this incredible, elaborate scene. Or for me, incredible, elaborate scene. It's probably really basic, but I'll create this really elaborate scene, and then I'll point the camera at 1/3 of it, and you'll never see the other 2/3 of the whole scene. And I know that I'll then go in and delete some of this really great stuff, or what I think is really great stuff, because it was totally unnecessary.
So one of the things, like one of the ways that I approach that is my lighting and my camera down first. It's what I do, and then I know like, okay, the camera's kind of pointed in this general direction, and actually the like what you're looking at here with like the like white figure and the weird whatever, kind of the wooden world. That one I actually like built everything first and had no idea where to put the camera. But it's just kind of, I approach is very stream of consciousness, so I kind of spun the camera around like crazy in that environment to figure out what would even look cool for me, and I just landed on that. But 9 times out of 10, I usually have the camera pointed just in a direction, and I stick with that, and then I make the image work with what the camera is seeing in that moment.
That's a really interesting approach.
It just seems to work out. I've not run into issues doing it that way so far.
Yeah.
But so just all in the moment. So
That's a good thing about dreams, that you can trick with the camera. You can hide a lot of stuff, and you can put the camera at a certain angle. That's like me, for example. I have a lot of work that, because I have the camera set up a certain kind of way. There's a lot of things that you don't see, and really you don't have to see it. Doesn't really matter. But I've kind of learned tricks too, where like if I'm making a level, right, and in the far distance I'm placing trees down, and let's say I'm wasting a lot of thermal for all those trees. If I found the trick to where you mess around with the aperture and the character, like a third person view, you don't really need to see all those details all the way back there. You just need to know that there's some trees back there. So what I started doing, deleting all of those trees that are taking up 1% each, and I'm just putting a green block from far away, and it looks like trees back there, and it's not doing anything to the thermal. You see what I'm saying? Instead of adding high detailed trees all the way back there, when you got the aperture set to where it's blurry at that far of a distance, so it doesn't matter.
And that's why I noticed like digital painters kind of do similar tricks. They realize they don't have to get detailed brushstrokes for stuff that's the distance of their paintings. Can just kind of do general brushstrokes and then have it be more detailed as it gets closer to the viewer.
Yeah,
it's kind of similar thing.
And
I like that guy's feet.
Oh, honestly, I remember this. I think this was from a weekly challenge that we had. I remember seeing this and just thinking it was the most surreal thing, and there was something incredibly haunting about it. It was just really unsettling. And Nivi, I hope you don't mind if I do the spoiler in this one.
Is that Forrest Gump?
What did I do to scare you, man?
Oh, honestly. So you've got this surrealist, plain, flat mindscape here with a guy who, by the way, has no eyes. That's terrifying. And then because it's free camera, what you can do is you can go behind the eyes, and if I remember rightly, you've got this reveal of hell is here. And it's
definitely Forrest Gump.
I was just like, oh, wow. I remember being totally thrown by how clever that was. And as a conceptual piece, I was just like, yeah, that's genuinely amazing. And
the thing is, I wasn't going to say anything about that, but they pressed me. I think it was LED that was zooming, like floating the camera around, and he could not find it. And I had to like reveal it. I had to say something because he couldn't find it. But I'm actually gonna redo that whole scene. I want to make it realistic. I did it.
Please don't.
A little bit of time.
My God, please don't make that realistic. It'll give me nightmares.
Yeah, didn't you say something about eyes or something, like you don't like eyes? And walls and stuff looking at you and stuff.
Yeah, it's creepy. But I love how unsettling it manages to be because, with no disrespect whatsoever, it's a relative, and again, I use the term very loosely and with utmost respect, it's a relatively simple scene. But the impact of that by having just things like these bizarro, weird feet happening, and then the no eyes, but he's still looking at a book. The whole thing is just chilling in so many ways. And I remember this.
It's like Wargarble said. Sometimes you just make things. You don't. It's like if someone were to ask me, what does that mean, or what the hell are you thinking? I don't know. I just made it.
Exactly. It's just open to interpretation.
You could ask me. I myself, I don't know what it is. All I know, a lot of times, a lot of things that people don't understand is that a lot of things that we create, there's all kinds of things in our heads, like experiences. It might have been a dream, or I might have heard a conversation, someone saying something. I might have been seeing an insect or something, and a lot of times we make things and there's really no meaning behind it. There's nothing. I can't explain to you what it is. It's just that's what came out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's almost like it's not me making it. It's just coming out of my head.
And that's really interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot of people I've found that like they don't like they don't know where ideas come from, which really nobody knows where ideas come from. They just happen. You just have to let it happen. You have to tell them, just live your life, go about your day, and be observant, look around, whatever. You can get inspiration and ideas from anything. Go to the gas station, you could just see something weird in a certain light, and that might give you an idea for something.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And there's a lot of people that don't accept that. There's a lot of people that always want an explanation, and they always want to know a meaning behind something. A lot of times there is none. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to come back to Yledbetter, we're talking about inspiration here. Some of the things that you've created have been really out there. You do have some incredible creations. So I wonder if you could talk to us just a little bit about inspiration for you. Where does it come from?
Generally, it's just something that pops up in chat or on Twitter. And I just kind of see it as a challenge, and I think to myself, could I make this? Like this barber chair was something. I think I am not a number was asking about barber chairs or something in chat, and I was like, that looks like fun to sculpt. So
I remember this. I remember what happened in the chat that led to this, and I was just, again, as is the case with all three of you, I'll see the chat that leads up to it, and I'll think, oh, that'll be interesting to see what happens when it's done, and then it's done, and I'm just absolutely floored by what you guys have created. I mean, the detailing on the side of the headrest and everything, and it just blows my mind every time. I think one of my favorite creations from you, Yledbetter, is the one of the NASA shuttle.
yes,
I remember seeing. I think one of the things that threw me most with this is that I remember seeing the development of it. I remember seeing you had done some of it and thinking, "Holy smokes, I need to keep an eye on this." And then as it went on and on and on, I remember my mind just being blown more and more and more by how incredible it was looking. And then when you get to the end product and what you've managed to achieve, and you look at the photo side by side, it really is just mind-blowing. With a project like this one that I'm looking at now, the NASA shuttle, how long was that as a project from start to finish in terms of your raw hours it took you to do?
I really wish it would track this in Dreams, but I think that one was around 60 hours or so.
Wow.
And which is funny because it kind of just started as a joke.
A joke?
Because I saw the picture and said, hey, this looks like a painting. I wonder if I could paint it, and then kind of just threw together the rough spacing of everything and the shape of the shuttle, and thought to myself, maybe this could actually work, and then I just basically couldn't stop until it was done.
But again, so it's really interesting that you're saying that, because one of the things that I find really striking is that, so Wargarble earlier on, for example, you were saying that, sometimes you'll put something together and then just throw the camera around and see where it ends up. While Yledbetter 10, I know that with some of your work, you've got to be very acutely aware of exactly where your camera is and where it's pointing before you even begin for some of the things and tricks that you use.
Yes, I actually added you as a collaborator on this scene if you wanted to.
I wasn't sure if I was allowed to go into it or not.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Excellent. I will absolutely do that then. Have you just added that to me? Just added me to it just now?
Yeah, it should have been a couple minutes ago.
Look at that! I can actually go into
30
it.
minutes ago.
It's like peeking behind the camera. Okay.
I'm also very excited about this.
Okay, this has already blown my mind. What?
Yeah, it's kind of
Oh, you've got a color palette wall and everything.
Kind of a mess.
So did you have like all of your color schemes set up so that you could literally just pick the color you wanted ready to go?
Wow.
Yeah, I used to set up the color palette like that ahead of time on those blocks like that, and then I would pull from them. But actually, once I started actually painting, I would basically just pull it off of the canvas itself.
Oh, okay. But so essentially you would use, what, a color picker type tool to quickly grab the color you wanted?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's insane.
like I said, I'm still kind of learning about colors and everything, so I still feel like
Are
it's
those buildings on the ground? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go for it,
no.
go for
I
it,
was
go
just
for
kidding.
it.
I was just curious if those buildings on the ground are those 3D objects, or did you paint them?
Yes, that's all 3D.
I see. Okay.
It doesn't look as good up close, but
That's what would like me and Nivi was talking about. Like you can have those kind of low detail things far away, but from far away
yes.
they look fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's one of the really interesting things that as I'm talking to the three of you, there are certain things that are coming through that, I mean, this over here, the reflections through the window existing over here, kind of, not to sound like I'm being weird about it, but a million miles away, it's not actually painted where you think it is. And it's not until you jump into the camera. I mean, that is a trick of the mind right there. That is just, that's so strange to sit on the other side of that reflection. It's just bizarre.
It's brilliant.
I just turned it on, the stream on now, because I couldn't watch it on the TV. Yeah, that's crazy, man.
It's
It takes a lot of just jumping back to the camera, jumping to edit mode, testing a single paint stroke, see how it lines up, and but
and then the sun just hitting the side of it.
And this is done with lights as well. So that's
yeah, and that's one thing I definitely think is kind of underused. I think is unique to Dreams is the way you can set up a 3D scene like this, and you can set up the lighting to actually shine like it would in real life. But that's kind of one of the things I like exploring and testing out is,
and
trying to make a 3D scene or a 3D painting that's actually 3D.
And I think that's one of the things that really strikes me. It's exactly that. It's a 3D painting. And even again, over here, you've used, I think this is general global lighting, or not global lighting, but kind of the non-spotlight lights to do your sun across the water. And again, when you get really close to the water, you can see that there's huge amounts of detail there, but it's not it's and I'm trying to phrase this without sounding like I'm being rude, but it's not the incredible kind of hyper detail that you get from the original view, because it doesn't need to be. And that's going on to what all three of you have said at different times throughout the course of the conversation. I just love this. And when I highlight on that thermometer, it's 95% graphics memory, and yet, this looks like it could be something that was made in the Unreal Engine.
Yeah, and actually I think it wasn't even that high, and then I just kind of used the detail tool to max out as much as I could before I published it.
That's just mad. That really just blows my mind. I mean, Wargarble, I think this is the first time you've seen behind the scenes on this one as well, isn't it?
I think so. Don't remember seeing behind the scenes of it before.
Yeah, I think Saku's Mind did a really quick video on it. It's a couple months back.
It's
crazy because I thought it was all a painting, like the whole thing. I thought it was all a painting. I didn't know they
So I'm
had all this.
I'm going to go one step further in terms of the craziness that does this. If I may, Yledbetter.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and do this. And you can pull apart the different sections of the entire thing, where you can see that you've added a variety of detail. And again, was that part of your thermometer-based approach, where you were trying to conserve some of the thermometer, or was there an alternative reason for taking that approach?
It's a little bit of both. There is, I think, kind of a unique limit that only Nivi and myself and maybe a few others have hit, and that is the sculpture limit, or sculpture shape limit. And that's, I think, I asked Lucids too, and he said it was around 5,000.
I know it's a very big number.
Yeah, I think it's 5,000 unique edits in one sculpture. So basically 5,000 spray paints per piece you pull apart there. And actually, the sky on the right didn't do very efficiently, so I had already painted most of it, and then was hitting like 80% on that limit, and I had to break it into pieces like that and use that 20% I had left on each different piece to make sure I had enough spray paints left.
So, of course, because a spray paint counts as an edit on a sculpt. That's right. I see. I'm with you now. That's the piece that I was missing before. But yeah.
So now, generally, I will split the canvas up ahead of time, so each piece of the canvas can get 100% sculpture limit, which would give even more detail.
That's crazy. I'm looking forward to seeing what you're working on next. But yeah, thank you for that. That's really amazing to be able to see kind of behind the scenes on it. And I think, like Nivi said, my impression was that it was almost like it was a single sculpt, and being able to see behind the mirror on that and to be able to pull that apart is a really unexpected way of seeing it, and it's not at all what I had in mind. That's properly blown my mind. Jeez,
and another reason I discovered later, so because that sky's far away, you can't see the flecks or anything. But lately on my paintings that are a little bit closer to the canvas, when you split up your canvas like that, you can increase the detail on each component separately, and you can get it high enough that basically every piece of the canvas won't show any flecks, and all of your paint strokes are, as detailed as possible. So that's pretty much the main reason why now I split them up.
Wow. I mean, that my tiny mind is just utterly blown by that. It just, I kind of don't know what to say. So, like, yeah, Nivi and Wargarble, feel free to kind of jump in on this one, because I'm kind of stuck.
Well, I'm curious, because I don't think we got an answer. What do you have an answer for what you're working on next, Yled?
Yes, I do have a pretty good painting to follow up the one we just looked at. But a little bit of a secret.
You tease. You tease.
And actually, the issue with it right now is I am over thermo because I didn't start it very efficiently. So actually, just today I hit 125% graphics.
God.
So my plan when I finish that is to release it or a screenshot and put that on Twitter because I can view it. I just can't save it. Basically, I have one third of the painting I have as a separate element, and what I do is I just stamp it in, which puts me over thermo. So I can take the screenshot, I just can't save it or release it. And I'm kind of hoping that the PS5 version of Dreams will allow me to release that.
Okay. I mean, in a beautiful segue and a really nice tangent to that, let's ask the next big question. Hypothetically speaking, what do you guys think a PlayStation 5 version of Dreams could offer each of you as an artist? Nivi, let's go back to you, man.
I mean, the only reason right now I would buy a PS5 is I haven't really seen anything that interests me as far as games go. But if thermo is always good to get more thermal. That's what I was thinking before I found this trick out. I was like, I need something else. This isn't enough. I'm getting frustrated. Maybe with the PS5. I'm definitely looking forward. I want to see what improvements there's, what's gonna come. But I really want image import. That's just the one little thing that I'm missing right now. everything else, I'm satisfied with. I'm happy with how
So talk to me about how you would see that working. Would you want to be able to import an image and then kind of just have that as a hovering thing in the scene that you would be able to use as a reference point? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's this is the issue. I like sculpting, or like if I'm painting, I like it more in VR, right? Because I can see, I have it right in front of me, so I can kind of measure, the angles and get, the details, and all of those things are better than me sitting away from the TV. I'd rather have it in VR.
Yeah.
I've noticed that everything, going back to sculpting VR, I found it way easier doing everything, having it right in front of me. And the thing is, when you're like, if I'm painting something and it's on the TV and I'm looking down, I'm having to look down at my laptop and then go back to look to the TV, down to the laptop and back to the TV. You kind of lose. You lose a lot of, you gotta try to copy what you're looking at. But when you have it on screen right in front of you, it's easier having it side by side. Like when I use Photoshop, in Photoshop, I have the image on the left, and then I'm working on the right, and it's right there. It's right next to it, so it's easier.
Yeah.
But that's just the only little thing I have, that I need from Dreams.
Yeah.
I did actually find in the last 30-minute challenge, which was the music one.
Oh no.
I actually did that one on screen share, whatever.
Yeah.
So I put my screen on my laptop, and then I pulled up my reference image right next to it, and that was
That's
a little
how you
easier.
did it.
Yeah, I don't know if I would have done it as quickly without that.
So
But it did help to have it
for the
right
benefit
next.
for the benefit of those who may not have been on the stream, what Mr. Yledbetter 10 actually did was he did a painting of me that he grabbed a screenshot of, presumably in stream, and in 30 minutes he did a painting that went in time with the music. And I remember sitting and watching this slowly but surely play out in front of me and thinking, what is this? Oh, and I had a proper like, oh my god, he's really done this moment. And that, again, it was such a fun thing to see play out on stream, and then seeing everyone's reactions. It was so much fun. We had so much fun doing this.
Yeah, that was actually just your old Twitter profile picture.
Just awesome.
It came up on Google, so.
It came up on Google. Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, that's a terrifying thing to say. Brilliant.
You watch out with that Google, man.
I know. Good grief. I dread to think what you must have Googled to find that. But
I think I just looked up your Twitter name.
Oh, okay. That's not so bad then. That's not so bad then. But no, that I remember being super impressed with that. I mean, to be able to do that in 30 minutes was just so much fun.
Yeah.
Very spicy drawing.
Very
I kind of actually, I just started. I wasn't actually even planning on finishing it, and then I just kept going. I didn't like it at first, but yeah, it did work out.
I'll try not to take that personally.
Oh, it wasn't the portrait; it was the artist.
And Wargarble, if you had a wish list of what the PlayStation 5 could unlock for you, what do you think you would say to that?
I just want to have more detail, because if and obviously the dream would be there'd be no thermo limit, but that's not realistic. So I just want to push detail, because if I had the option, all of my images would be have 100 times more detail than I do if I was able to. Just that, and maybe, recently I've been doing some frame-by-frame animations with the pencil tool.
I saw that, and
yeah,
so good,
Thank
So
you.
good. I mean, I've tried to do some onion skinning animation stuff myself, so I have perhaps an appreciation for what goes into it, and I've got to say, the way that you've managed to achieve that is just outstanding. Nevi and Yledbetter, I don't know if you guys could see this at the moment, but I remember looking at this. I'm just blown away by how good that looks and how smooth it is.
Yeah, thank you. I taught myself animation around 2015. I always wanted to do it, and one of my uh, biggest influences is an animator named Felix Colgrave. His animations are a little strange, but he doesn't plan his work as well. He has the same sort of thing, and he just got, I think it was like Adobe Flash or whatever, and just instead of didn't look at any tutorials, he was like, I'm just going to do this myself and figure it out. And he kind of creates in a similar way that I do, so I can relate to that, and just the whole aspect of like teaching myself stuff. I don't know. I've always liked the animation a lot. So I guess like going back to the PS5 thing, I don't know the full limit is. I know I've hit, I think, around like 100 frames if you're doing frame by frame with the pencil tool. I don't know if that's completely accurate. I remember hitting that limit before, but I just, want those limits to be pushed further. Just expanded so we can do more.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
I mean, looking at an image like the one that I've got on the screen right now, it's almost like a pen and ink fine line drawing with that super detail that's in there. In terms of the actual doing of that, is that actually a really big image that you've zoomed out of to be able to do all of that tiny detail?
No, because that's the thing with dreams, right? Is like you can just scale everything. So including, your, what's the word? Your like your cursor or whatever, like your pencil or whatever, like any of that stuff, you can scale it, right? So I think it's just kind of normal, average size, and then I just kind of get real close because I use the starting block that they give you, and then I just turn it white and then flip it up and then push the fog back and get all that done with, and get rid of lens flare and stuff, and then
I do the same.
yeah.
So just
then
so you the first thing you do when you jump into a new dream is you do the fog trick. So you make the fog as far away as you can to give yourself as much kind of uninterrupted space.
So my biggest advice I could give is just learn the sun and sky gadget and learn the gradient gadget. Those things will do wonders for whatever you're making. So the sun and sky gadget has that stuff like fog, which you can just I like pushing it back. I like getting rid of it. I also like that Media Molecule offers us the option to get rid of the flex in the sky. I'm not personally a fan of it. So you can, if you get rid of the flex, you can bring the fog back in a little bit and it'll look better. But I usually push the fog all the way back. I make this, turn the intensity up and then all that sort of thing. And then the gradient gadget is super powerful. And I'll turn the sharpness to about -50. It's kind of where I sit with that.
The sharpness.
Sharpness, yes. I do
it's in the third tab.
Third tab. Okay.
Yes. So I turn that to about like -50 for me. I get rid of the lens flare. And then the second tab is super important, which is you can choose the color gradient of your shadows, your midtones, and your highlights. I think people overlook this one. You can really bring out the color in any of your imagery with this, whether it be a game or whatever it is you're doing. I think it's one thing I would absolutely, tell people like, hey, like learn this tool, mess with it, experiment with it. Because when you have a shadow, it's not always just black. It just depends on the lighting, depends on what environment you're building, and all that sort of thing. In a desert environment with the sun a certain way, your shadows might be in the more kind of darker brown, have a brown tint to them. For example.
So your shadows is the one at the bottom, presumably.
The shadows is the top one.
Oh, the shadows is the top one. Okay.
Yeah.
Spot
So
the guy
the
who's not
one's...
spent much time doing this.
I've never messed with this. I got some homework to do.
It's you can bring out so much color with it and just kind of mess with it to get, those highlights and the shadows, all that stuff. And I usually mess with those a lot also to get negative images. So you can turn the shadows like all the way white and then the midtones all the way dark and highlights all the way dark. Like you can just mess with stuff like that and get some surreal looking stuff too.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, and that's another, if I may, I'm just turn up. Sorry if I'm like talking too much, but like to push, like it's all digital, right? You can always hit undo. So if you do something that doesn't work, just hit, what is it? It's left on the D-pad, right? You'll undo your thing.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of digital work. You don't have to worry about messing up. And I think for people who are new making stuff, like you should fail because you're gonna, and that's just part of learning. You're gonna draw something that looks weird or make a sculpt that's not that good or whatever to you. That's fine, but you should just keep doing it and just keep improving by just keep doing it. Keep looking at stuff that inspires you and sort of thing.
I love that. I think that's...
Yeah, I think I've changed the settings on the just those 3 color wheels there on my latest painting probably about 50, 60 times already, just trying to get it right.
Yeah, it's super powerful.
I haven't messed with it.
Neither have I.
Yeah.
So...
And then one last thing, and I'll shut up.
No,
sorry.
that's all.
One trick I did hear from Bad Robo. I was curious how he got the lighting, in his stuff. And he had mentioned that he gets rid of the sun gadget. He'll have the sun gadget, but he doesn't have the sun active, and he puts spotlights in, and he just uses spotlights for all the lighting.
Okay.
And I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. So I've been kind of messing with that.
Wow.
As well.
See, my
yeah.
Go on.
I was gonna say if you go to the sun gadget and just turn the brightness down to the sun all the way down.
Yeah.
Because that sun will kind of give everything in the world a certain color.
Okay. I see what you mean.
And also the sky gadget too. The color wheel on the sky gadget will give everything a certain hint of a color as well.
Okay.
So if you set that closer to white,
yeah,
it's a little bit more pure.
So thinking about it, one of the things, again, just to seeing as we're talking about kind of colors and gadgets and things, one of the things that I have seen that I thought was quite clever is apparently the way in which certain films use exactly this sort of technique with the changing of the tonalities of your highlights, your mids and your lows. So movies that were like traditional, not traditional, but war films set in the Far East and the Middle East, for example, movies set in Afghanistan, what they'll do is they'll do contrasting colors. So your shadows will be, I think it's kind of almost a kind of a reddy orange, but they'll set the highlights to be like a really contrasting green or something to give it an otherworldly type vibe. I'm doing a really bad job of it here, but I remember reading something about that, and it was to make it give it that really unnatural type feel to it. So yeah, that's just what triggered with me when you were talking about the color wheels and the mids tones and mid highs and shadows. My terminology is clearly that of an artist.
Like the Matrix, how the Matrix has that greenish,
exactly,
like electronic,
great example,
kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, very, very much so, very much so. And again, of course, you've got the shininess and the waxiness of objects as well, which affects kind of the way in which they interact with light. Wargarble, coming back to you briefly on that one, I know that some of your scenes, again, so in the same way as I said, some of them look like they're carved chalk, other ones look like they're kind of much more like almost like they're molded wax.
Yes.
The sense of the depth that the texture that the sculpts seem to have to them is really striking, and I've always wanted to kind of ask how you achieve that.
So yeah, it's definitely with the waxiness. It varies. Sometimes I make things like full wax, and then like I put spotlights in certain places, like give it a certain look. Or sometimes it just kind of varies. Then obviously with like the depth of field on the camera, and the right things in focus and that sort of thing. It's just kind of how all of those pieces come together.
So you kind of you'll play with the settings on the camera as well, and kind of adjust the aperture and the depth of field on focus distance and stuff.
Yes, I'm really addicted to like having a smaller depth of field and like doing specific things, because then I don't know. To me, I just love the look of it. It just looks a little cinematic and in my eyes, and I guess it varies. Sometimes you get images that like it's great if everything is in focus, and it's just it depends on what you're doing. But generally yes, I will mess with the aperture axiness, and it's a combination of that and the lighting, the camera angle. It's just how all of it just happens to come together. I guess it's the only way I know how to explain it.
I love that. I really like that, and I'm going to declare it now. I'm totally saving this scene as a reference scene for future. Like that's
Nice,
absolutely
nice.
happening. But no, that's awesome. I mean, Nivi and Yledbetter, would you guys kind of? I know Nivi, you said that you've not really played with the gradient tool, and I guess my question to you, Nivi, would be then to ask kind of about experimentation. There are so many of these tools up here that I haven't touched, and I'm almost not afraid, but I know what I know, and it's very rare that I kind of push myself beyond that limit and say, do you know what? I'm going to throw in a gadget that I don't know what it does and see what it does. Do you find that you are pushing yourself with the with the tools?
Yeah, I've gone into the assembly glossary that they have in Dreams, especially for Logic. I've gone in there, and I remember spending almost a whole day. I said to myself, I don't know about all this Logic, but I'm gonna go in, and that's all I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna sculpt anything or paint anything. I'm just gonna do Logic today, and I'm gonna try to learn this. And yeah, I could do the little basic stuff, but that's just something that had me. I haven't gotten into it, and I just decided one day I'm gonna get into these tools. I've already been messing around with the with the paint and stuff like that. It's funny what you mentioned earlier about the like something that caught me by surprise was the blend tool. I remember when I first got Dreams, I started trying to do a sculpt, and every time I tried to do like a sculpt, it came out everything was just blocky, and I couldn't blend anything, and I started to get frustrated. I was like, I can't believe Dreams, doesn't have a blend for the sculpting,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, one day, someone said, "What are you talking about, man? Go to the the other tool. They were right next to it, whatever." And I remember clicking on it, and when I clicked on it, I mean, I almost popped a beer. I almost celebrated. I said, "Wow! Oh my God, this is what I wanted right here. I wanted this to blend." And I remember grabbing just a sphere and putting it into the block, and it was just morphing into it and everything. I was like, "Oh, this is it right here. I can finally, my my sculpts won't look like Minecraft anymore. I have to start doing something." But yeah.
Awesome.
But yeah, logic used to scare me, and then I started messing with it, and when you figure something out, for a person like me that does not into the Logic, when I figure something out, and I might be over there pulling my hair and everything, but when I figure something out, it's so exciting, and I feel like, man, I got something done. I did it.
And I think
it's all good, man.
I think just touching on that, one of the things that resonates with me very, very much so is that I've never been one for really, really hard games. I've always played through things in story mode on relatively easy and kind of just enjoying the story for what it is. I've never understood and this is me personally, I've never understood the whole like the Demon's Souls, the Soulsborne type grind-a-thon games where it is just an absolute battle of attrition. But at the same time, I can completely understand it from the point of view of Dreams, in exactly the same way. You're trying to get the system to do something, and you cannot get over it, and you batter your head against the desk, and you scream and shout and swear and cuss, and then there's a moment when it just clicks, and you can do it, and you have those incredible moments, and then as you say, it's kind of the pop a beer moment. So I can completely understand it from that point of view. And it wasn't until I kind of had those moments of revelation that I was like, do you know what? Yeah, I can kind of get the whole Demon's Souls thing now. Overcoming that barrier. I can totally get that. So, yeah, no, I understand what you're saying. And up until Dreams, I don't think I would have been able to kind of understand it from that point of view. So yeah, no, I think that's awesome. So I'm conscious that we're kind of coming up on time now. So I think we'll close it out with a quick question. What's your proudest creation that you've made so far? What's the thing that you're most proud of? Or what's the artist, non-Dreams artist, who provides the biggest source of inspiration for you? And I think Yledbetter 10. We've not heard from you on that. Let's jump to you on that if we can.
Yes. I guess my proudest creation is going to be the one that's not out yet, but should be out in the next few days.
I'm trying to contain my excitement for this. I am really trying to contain my excitement for this. What I think I'll do on the podcast is I'll just bleep that out, so they'll just hear like a swear tone. I'll just bleep that out on the podcast, so they won't know what you've said, and we can all just react. And of course,
well, I didn't say what it is.
Yeah,
so,
they don't.
You can hear that.
They don't need to know that.
when they see it, if it comes out after the podcast, they'll hopefully know.
So
I've been working on it for a couple months now.
Can you tell us approximately how much time has gone into that one?
I want to say I'm probably, I don't want to sound like crazy or anything that I've been working on it this long, but 70 hours or so.
Wow. Now, for reference, the SpaceX Dragon shuttle at dawn, that one you said that was about 40 to 50 hours, is that right?
I think I said around 60, but I can't remember.
Sorry, yeah. So we're expecting something of that kind of a level then. Is it safe to say?
I would say so. This one, I think I maxed out sculpture limits on maybe 3 or 4 canvases, and on the new one, it's already like, I don't know, 10 or so sculptures I've maxed out, which is why I'm, of course, over thermo.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Looking forward to seeing whatever it is you have got cooking up, sir. I'm very much looking forward to seeing that. Wargarble, same question to you, sir. What do you think your proudest creation would be then?
Proudest
Or who's your favorite inspiration out with Dreams in terms of art? Either way.
I'll just go because I'm not sure because I like. When it comes to proudest creation, that's a tough one. Hopefully, whatever my next things I'm working on, hopefully, but we'll find out. So I'll just go with the inspiration thing. So I mentioned Felix Colgrave already. He's an animator. Love his animation stuff. It's been a real big thing. David Lynch has been always a huge inspiration for me in terms of how he approaches his work and the fact that he just lets his work be what it is.
Yes.
And I love that. And I have to mention 3 other things.
Yeah.
Because when I was a child, I came across these, which was John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, seeing how that was in terms of atmosphere and practical effects and how all that came together it stuck with me since I was a child, as you'd imagine.
Yeah.
That movie's insane. And George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead, the original. That one is, in terms of him sticking with black and white and the atmosphere he got out of that, just I don't know, that still sticks with me in certain scenes of that as well. And the original of Resident Evil 2, the original game, because that showed how important sound is for your stuff. The atmosphere of that as well, like atmosphere is super to me. So, how because with Resident Evil, like they have very cheesy, it's like a B film. It's like cheesy dialogue, cheesy voice acting, but it was still scary. It was still effective. Because the pacing, the atmosphere, the music, it really taught me that at a young age. So, yeah, it has to go to those things.
I love that, and I agree wholeheartedly with the building of atmosphere and fear using audio as a tool. It's not all about the fancy shiny graphics. Some of the most unsettling films that I can think of are those where you never actually see the big bad. It all happens in your mind. It's maybe just, a shadow of a thing. And actually, my mind is imagining something far more terrifying than any special effects can create. And I think that the sound can be a huge part of that.
Exactly. I know a lot of people hate this movie, but I actually really like the original Blair Witch Project. I know a lot of people hate it, and they think, and I get why. I get why people don't like it. That it either can be boring or whatever, and I totally understand. Was the critique of that, but it's just there's something about in terms of again they don't show anything, so just there's I don't know stuff like that is the work for me. So
yeah, just to kind of reflect on the Blair Witch Project, that is a film that I spent 99% of the film kind of sighing and rolling my eyes and going, what are they doing? And then at the very, very end of the film, almost like the closing frame of the film, as the camera pans around, I remember thinking, and that completely flipped my entire opinion of the film, going, okay, that was genius. That was absolutely genius. Yeah, and you can see that in reflected in some of your creations as well. You mentioned before about the black and white of Night of the Living Dead, and you can see some of your creations. You've gone for a monochrome look, and it is kind of unsettling. It's not an out horror that you're going for, but it is very much a distinctively unsettling vibe, shall we say?
Yeah, 'cause my stuff just kind of comes out weird. I think it's just how it comes out. So because I don't have any intentions of like, I'm going to make this super strange. It's just how it is.
Yeah, the visual style that all 3 of you managed to achieve in your work. It's I'm a huge fan of all of your work. And particularly Wargarble, with you specifically, it's the unsettling abstractness of what you create that I find the most haunting. It's relatable. It's kind of grounded in reality, but it's just far enough over the line that there's also part of my brain that's just screaming and running away.
Phreaky likes to suffer, man. You like to suffer. That's
Standard.
Like, scare me.
It's absolutely. We all love a good horror film for exactly that reason.
Yeah.
Everybody loves a good horror film. We love to be scared. We love to be unsettled. We love to be put in places where we're not comfortable, but still in control.
That's why I was so hyped for VR, and that's why I'm taking forever on my VR stuff I'm working on. And I can't wait to actually release that because I am curious what everybody who has an interest in it will think of it.
So you're working on some stuff that's going to be VR compatible as well?
Yes. So I have 2, if I may, quickly, or I cannot,
go for it.
If we don't have time.
No, go for it.
So one of them I've promoted a lot on Twitter. It's called Dreamwalker. I released it a bit ago in non-VR, but I've been working on it a lot to be built for VR basically, and when the VR patch hit, it translated wonderfully, and all of the levels are inspired by real dreams that I have, because I have really vivid real life dreams, and so I, instead of being scared of them, I just use them as inspiration, because I mean, why not? Like, it's, I don't know. There's a lot going on with that, and I have some stuff that could be unsettling for people. I don't know. I mean, one particular scene in Dreamwalker bothers me in particular, so I don't know if it'll bother other people, but we'll see. Because in VR, it just translates. It's just, it can be a lot. Then the other thing I'm working on is a on rails VR shooter inspired by House of the Dead. And I have really a lot of plans for that. And it's going to be a while before that sees the light of day, probably. But it's kind of this weird thing where I want every level, kind of like a kart racer, where like every level is a completely different theme and tone. Like I want to have like a Christmas level, because why not? But I have like, I don't know. So there's going to be like a fish laser themed level, because I know people like that. So, and I kind of have an idea for that as well. But yeah, so those are the two major things.
That's amazing. That is amazing. I cannot wait to see that.
I can't wait for that either.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of your Dreamwalker stuff on Twitter, and
I'm gonna have a diaper ready before I play that.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
I can tell you some.
If we're talking VR, one of my kind of, again, light bulb moments in VR generally, it was very early on in PlayStation VR, was playing Resident Evil 7 in VR, and without giving anything away, there's a couple of moments within the first hours of the game.
Yes.
And genuinely, I have never been more afraid in my life. I have no shame in saying that I squealed like a child on, like, it was terrifying.
There were moments I had to convince myself to move forward in that game in VR.
Oh, for sure.
It was brutal.
And I think for me, those are the sorts of experiences that I think really push the envelope. And I'm hoping that more and more people engaging with that and doing things like, as you say, Dreamwalking VR will help push the medium forward. Because it's only by people pushing the envelope that we'll start to see more people encouraged to take that step. And I think the art in VR is a really interesting idea. It then becomes an interactive art experience rather than a static art experience, and that opens up a whole bunch of doors.
That's something I've been thinking about. Wargarble, when I look at his drawings and stuff, it reminds me of back of my graffiti days. And
are we getting into Nivi's dark past
I thought about
here?
the VR. I thought about that VR. No, I thought about doing graffiti in VR. That would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah, that'd be very cool. And again, to kind of to come to you then, Nivi, we've spoken about inspiration, external or proudest creations.
I mean, I can't say I have like a, I favor anything. I think the Joker was my first portrait that I did, and I think it opened up the door for a lot of things after that. Like I got really excited and comfortable after that, and I started doing more portraits, and I think that one just opened the door for me to get motivated to do more paintings and stuff like that.
I remember seeing this Joker image on Twitter. I remember being absolutely blown away by how incredible it looked. And if I remember
hard to believe it was dreams.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always love it when you get that little surprise moment. You see something on Twitter and you have to look for the, hang on, has it got the Made in Dreams hashtag? Has it got the icon? Has it got the logo on it? And I love that. I think that's super impressive. When people take an engine, think back to the demonstrations of what Dreams had originally, with the guy at the piano and the polar bears that looked really flecky, and that's a lovely, lovely visual. And you look at all three of you, in fact, Nivi, with your portraits and what you've created that look, they're not far off being, some of them are kind of not far off being almost like photographs. Wargarble, your stuff looks like a claymation Aardman-inspired acid trip in the best possible way. And then, Yledbetter, you've got these incredible scenes that look, again, almost photorealistic. And you're starting, recently as well, you're starting to move into that kind of almost more cartoon-like type 2D pop-up style. And I love that we've got these hugely broad avenues in which you can just kind of explore and just kind of explode out down this kind of crazy path of art. And yeah, I a huge fan.
What's funny, this being like one of my first paintings, I ran out of thermal. That was one thing. The second thing is I didn't know about the sculpture detail tool when I did this the first time. So I did it and I put it out there and it looked kind of blurry and it didn't have that much detail on it. And like a week later, someone told me about the sculpture detail. I went back in and I pressed it a couple times and I was like, oh, that's more, it looks better, you know? And I cleaned it up a little bit, but you know, it's just all learning, learn as you go.
I love it.
That's even crazier that you painted that when it was, you know, low detail and a little bit blurry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, when I put it on Twitter, I think I was still on Twitter when I posted it the first time. And then a week later, I improved it, and then I updated it.
Madness.
That's what ended up happening.
And Yledbetter, I'm gonna cycle back to you ever so briefly because I'm conscious of time here. But on one of the 30-minute streams that we had, you did a character that had lighting, like the gadget lighting, integrated as a really important part of the image itself. And I remember.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah, I remember seeing that and just thinking.
Oh, the light bulb one.
Yeah, I don't know if it's out or available, but I remember seeing that.
Because I started to make it into a character, I can't remember if I actually released the original one.
Did you have that animated on Twitter, Ylet? Was it animated?
I did start to animate it. Never quite finished. I do want to go back to it, but sometimes new ideas pop up and I just start following that train of thought.
It is great that you can have this kind of jumping, going from music to, do you know what, I'm going to try and create this now. And have this backlog of projects, if you like, that may or may not ever get finished, but that's okay as long as you're having fun.
Yeah, I really need to go back and like play through your guys' stuff and look at it, because like that's one thing I feel bad for, because I don't play nearly as much as I create in Dreams. I don't get to really check out everybody's stuff, and I really want to. I just gotta stop being so distracted by creating all the time.
It's something I'm really bad for as well. I think we're, you know, when I'm in the vibe of, I'm in a creative funk, shall we say, I absolutely find that I jump in massively.
Yeah, I think one thing though, I mean, I know I don't get to play a lot of Dreams, but I do stream, or I watch a lot of streams like It's All Star playing through Dreams as I'm creating, so I do still get to experience a lot of stuff. You know, while I'm painting, I'll throw on a stream, someone on Twitch, and kind of watch along on the side while I'm creating. Unfortunately, it doesn't reflect through, you know, the play count or the thumbs up, but I mean, I'm very happy for and appreciative of all the people on Twitch streaming through their playing.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Sure.
I struggle with that. I struggle with it because I get wrapped into the streams. I always watch a lot of like Mr. Casey Jones, and I know DG. He's been streaming, and so I'm just watching a lot of that, and I get so wrapped into chatting with them and kind of hanging out. It's hard for me to like.
And I love that about the community. You know, I've spoken about the community a number of times now, and I think it really is true that as a collective, it doesn't feel like your stereotypical gaming community.
Absolutely.
I'm just looking on screen right now at Yledbetter's aquatic light bulb diving character, and I need to find other words to pay compliments.
Well, thank you. Yeah, kind of a new style I've been experimenting with. I know my Hollow's Dream room used a lot of that. I did find a way to make it more efficient, so somehow I got quite a bit in with 15% thermo gameplay and graphics.
It's just super professional. This is both you and Nivi, both real super professional paintings. Like, really.
There's probably too many lighting gadgets there.
There's no judgment from me. There's no way I could do this.
I'm learning all kinds of stuff watching the things you guys are doing. I'm gonna have to go back in and try these things out.
I just now realized how many lighting gadgets you did have there. Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have accidentally like triple cloned some of those ones.
That is fine. It's fine. The effect is there.
Good.
The effect is there.
That's good.
You gotta do what you gotta do. That works. Absolutely works.
And it gets the atmosphere across perfectly. On that note, my final question to each of you, in no more than 5 sentences, if you could give someone one piece of advice for Dreams, if they were picking up the controller and playing Dreams for the first time today, what one piece of advice would you give them? Wargarble, let's start with you, sir.
Have patience and believe in your gut feeling. Go with your gut feeling. Don't worry about what others are thinking about it. Just have fun doing it. Just do what you want to do. That's my advice.
Brilliant. Love it. Mr. Yledbetter, Yledbetter 10, yourself, sir.
Yeah, I'll throw the plug in again. Give the Dreams Have Meanings 30-minute challenge and weekly challenge a try. You never know what you'll learn trying to come up with something in that amount of time. And then just, try logic, try music, try painting. You never know, what might click at some point.
Love it. Absolutely. And the thing is, with the 30-minute challenges, one of the things I find most enjoyable is that because we only have 30 minutes, nobody's creation is mind-blowingly incredible. It's all a little bit janky. And I say that with nothing but love for each and every person who takes part. But it takes away some of that fear of creating something not good enough. Nevi-Artist, yourself, advice for someone picking up Dreams for the first time today?
Well, my advice is, when you get in here, just try out everything. Don't like War said, don't worry what people think. Just whatever you think is you want to make, just make it. Even if the character falls to the floor and falls into the abyss, just keep working on it until that character doesn't do it anymore. Find out how to fix it and just have fun, man. A lot of times people, get too, I don't know, too serious or sometimes just let loose. Just have fun and create whatever you want. Just don't worry about it.
I love that.
And always ask for help because there's communities that everyone's available to help out, and there's a lot of videos of people just showing you how to do things. Just ask, and someone will always help you out.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant sentiment to end on, because here I am sat in a room in Manchester speaking to 3 incredible artists who, without Dreams, I wouldn't have spoken to, that I was able to reach out to and say, hey, I want to try and do a thing. You guys were amazing and incredibly generous with your time. And I know it's not an easy thing to do, to come on and have a conversation with 4 people, or between 4 people who you've never spoken to before in real life. So I just want to take a moment to say huge thanks to Wargarble, Nivi-Artist, and Yledbetter 10. Gentlemen, scholars, I cannot thank you enough for making this possible, and thoroughly look forward to having conversations with you in future as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, thanks for having us.
No problem at all.
Yes, thank you.
And on that note, thank you very much, everyone. Catch you next time.